Okay, so now we're moving on to division. I want to start here actually. So division, just like multiplication, addition, and subtraction, it has terms in it, and the terms are given certain names. Okay, it's easier for me to show it to you when they're in what I call the division house. If it's inside the division house, that's called the dividend. And that's always really easy for me to remember because it has den in there. And I think of the den being inside the house. And so the dividend is the number that's inside the house if you were writing it in this form. This number outside is called the divisor. Okay, if I divide 5 into 20, I get the number 4. So 4 here is called the quotient. Now 4 divides evenly, so it has a remainder of 0 or no remainder, but 0 is called the remainder. Okay, so 5 goes into 24 times with 0 left over. So 4 is called your quotient and 0 is called the remainder. Now, let's go up for one that doesn't divide evenly. 5 goes into 27. Well, it'll go 5 times with 2 left over. So 5 is called your quotient and 2 is called the remainder. Now, if they're not written in the house format, the first number is called your dividend, and this is called the divisor, and that's going to equal 4, which is your quotient. Alright, so now we have different properties here. I'm going to start at the bottom with division by 0. You can't divide by 0. 0 can't be in the bottom. If 0 is in the bottom, it's going to give you an error if you used a calculator. Of course, we're not using calculators here, but division by 0 is undefined. So you can say error or undefined. Now, the way that I tell my students, I know it's a crazy way to remember it, but if 0 is underneath, I call it undefined. Now, you don't want to call it underfined because underfined is not a word, but that's the way that I keep 0 straight, the 0 rule. If it's underneath, it's undefined. Now, if 0's in the top, you can divide all day long. 0 divided by 4 would just be the number 0, because 0, the answer would be 0. You can't divide a number into 0. So this answer is 0. So if 0's in the top, you're going to get an answer of 0. But if 0's in the bottom, you're going to get an answer of undefined. Okay, as far as the models go, the only one of the models that I liked in this textbook was the partition model. And so let's say that you have this group, and it's a group of 20, and I ask you to divide it by, let's say, 5. To show your students this, you could tell them to count over in numbers of 5 and make a circle. So they would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, circle. 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 And then you'll say, well, how many circles do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the partition model. You could also tell them to, divide by 10, and they could count how many groups of 10 they have, and so you would have 2 circles of 10, and that can show the students how you would divide it up into pieces, and the number of circles could be your answer, and that's going to be your partition model. The next thing you see on my little outline here is a fact family, and we talked about fact families as they related to addition and subtraction, but this time let's do it with multiplication and division. Obviously, I like 4 times 5. So we're going to do 4 times 5 is 20. And we can also flip it using the commutative property and say 5 times 4 is 20. Now moving it to division, 20 divided by 4 would equal 5. and moving it backwards, 20 divided by 5 would equal 4. And so that would be your fact family for that particular group. Let me see what else I left out here. I think that's it. Got that one. Okay, there are a couple of word problems in the group, but they are just asking you basic arithmetic questions. So I'm going to knock those out first, and then we'll do problems in the last video. Say a boys club collected $616 in membership dues from 28 members. How much are the membership dues for the club? In other words, how much does each member pay? So you're going to take your total and you're going to divide that among 28 members. Okay, so when I divide this, we have to find a way to start, and I think of 28 as being close to 30, and so I'm going to estimate how many times I think 30 would go into 60, and so that's going to be 2 times. I don't know if it works or not. We'll try it. So remember, when you do long division, you're going to divide like that and guess it, and so I'm going to say 28 times 2 would be 4, and 1 would be 56, and that's going to work. So I put it there, and then I subtract. Now when I subtract, I'm going to get an 11 here, and I'm going to borrow. So this is going to give me 5 and 6. Well, I know on the side over here that 28 times 2 is 56. So I know that 28 goes into 2 56 times evenly, and so the membership dues for this club are $22 a piece. And that would be your answer for that word problem. Okay, the next one's really tricky. A student must read the last chapter of his book. If he begins on page 419 and ends at page 455, how many pages must he read? Okay, so we say, oh, well, that's easy, you're just going to subtract. Okay, and that is how you start. Okay, I can't subtract 9 from 5, so I have to borrow. So I'm going to borrow 10 from over here. 15 minus 9 would give me 6, and 4 minus 1 would give me 3. So we think, oh, well, he needs to read 36 pages. Okay, that's how many are in the middle. Okay, so that's how many are between 419 and 455. So he's going to read 36 pages. And then you also have to read the page that you're on. And so your total answer would be 37, because you have to read that page, that last page. And so that's how that one would look. It's a little tricky.